Welcome back. Today, we're going to dig into something really interesting in the world of AI. How you get a bunch of super smart AI agents to actually work together like a real team on a single project. Let's figure it out.
This is a real problem people are bumping up against. It's one thing to have an AI that can write, and another that can do research, and maybe a third that can edit. But making them work together in the right order, making decisions as they go, that's the puzzle we're going to solve.
So here's the plan. We'll start by talking about why this coordination thing is so tricky. Then we'll introduce the hero of our story, CrewAI Flows. After that, we'll look under the hood to see how they're built, watch one do its thing, and then talk about why this is, seriously, a game changer. Okay, imagine this. You hire a rockstar writer, a genius researcher, and a world-class editor. They're all the best at what they do. But if you don't have a project manager telling them what to do, who goes first, and how to share their work, you just have a bunch of brilliant people who can't talk to each other. That's exactly the problem we have with AI agents. Yeah, sure. You can kinda hack it together. You can tell one agent to run, and then when it's done, you manually start the next one. But man, that is so rigid. What happens if you need to make a decision based on what the first agent found? Or what if you need to repeat a step? These simple, straight-line approaches just fall apart for anything complex. And that's where CrewAI Flows step onto the stage. If your AI agents are the actors in a play, the flow is the director. It's the brain of the operation, telling everyone when to come on stage, what lines to say, and how to react to the other actors. It orchestrates the whole thing. So what is it technically? Well, the official definition calls it a framework for building structured, event-driven AI workflows. The most important part of that phrase is event-driven. This means it's not just a to-do list. One action can literally trigger another action, which creates this amazing, dynamic process that can adapt on the fly. So what's the promise here? What do you actually get? Well, you get to build these really complex workflows that can have branching paths and loops. And this is huge. It manages the memory, what they call the state, so everyone on the team knows what's going on. The bottom line, you get automation that's powerful, that can grow, and that you can run over and over again with the same result. All right, so that all sounds great, but how does it actually work? How do we build one of these things? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the building blocks. The real magic starts with these little things in Python called decorators. Honestly, you can just think of them as the director's cues. They're these simple one-word commands that you write right above a piece of your code, and they tell that code exactly when it's supposed to run. Now, there are three main cues you gotta know. First up is at start. That one's easy. It's like the director yelling action. It marks the very first step in your workflow. Then you've got at listen. This one is key. It tells a function to just hang out and wait until another specific function is done before it jumps in. And finally, you have at router function, which is super cool. It lets your flow make decisions and go down different paths depending on the results it's seeing. The other huge concept here is state. The easiest way to think about state is like a shared whiteboard for the entire AI team. When one agent finds out something important, it writes it on the whiteboard. Then any other agent at any point later in the process can just walk up to the whiteboard and read that information. It's the glue that lets everyone stay on the same page. So when you put all this together, you get some really powerful features. We've talked about how one action can trigger another and how you can have decision-making logic. But you can also mix and match everything. You can orchestrate entire crews of agents, make quick calls to a language model, or even run your own custom code. Plus, you can save a workflow midstream and pick it up later. And maybe best of all, you can get a visual map of your entire flow, which is just amazing for figuring out what's going on. Okay, theory is great, but I think it's time to make this real. Let's get our hands dirty and build a really simple but powerful example. We're going to make a little DishFlow bot that helps us figure out what to have for dinner. The idea here is super simple. First, the bot is going to suggest a type of food, like Italian or Mexican. Then, based on that, it'll suggest a specific dish. And for the grand finale, it'll give us a little cooking tip for that dish. It's just a straight three-step process. So here's what the code looks like. First, you see that at start decorator right there? That's our signal. That tells CrewAI that this suggests cuisine function is where everything begins. It goes and gets a cuisine, and then, and this is the important part, it saves that result to self.state, putting it on that shared whiteboard for everyone else to see. Now look at the second step. See that at listen, suggest cuisine? That's the director's cue. It's saying, hey, suggest dish function, don't you dare run until suggest cuisine is totally finished. Once it gets the green light, it takes the cuisine from the whiteboard and uses it to suggest a dish. And then, of course, it writes its own result back to the whiteboard. And what's so cool is you can ask CrewAI to actually show you the plan. And this is what it gives you. It's a super clean, easy-to-read diagram of the whole workflow. The red box is our starting point, and the black boxes are the steps that listen and follow one after the other. There's zero confusion about how this is all going to play out. And here it is, the final result. That simple, clear plan we designed generated this awesome, detailed suggestion. It picked Ethiopian food, suggested Dora Watt, and even gave a specific tip about cooking the onions. It's this complex, multi-part answer, all created from a really simple, straightforward plan. So you might be thinking, okay, a dinner bot. That's cute. But this is so much bigger than that. What this framework really does is let us go from these simple one-off AI tasks to building real sophisticated automation systems. It's the difference between having a single smart screwdriver and having an entire automated factory. And that factory can build almost anything you can dream of. I mean, think about a content pipeline that outlines, writes, and reviews an article. And if the review isn't good, it loops back to the writer for changes. Or a chatbot that actually remembers what you talked about last week. We're talking about automating document processing from start to finish, handling crazy email threads, and even plugging into other apps to trigger actions in the real world. The potential here is just massive. And really, that brings us to the most important question. Now that you know you can have a director for your brilliant AI agents, what would you build? What's that complex, multi-step process you've always wanted to automate? That's the exciting new frontier that tools like CrewAI Flows are opening up for all of us.